So for homework today, you guys are doing music download. And it's really, unfortunately, not downloading music. I know you really want to. However, we're going to look at information on the first page and then use it to create a table and a graph. So if you look at your first page, it says that you have been begging your parents to let you download some music. Your parents have decided you gather information from 2 different sites where you can download music and then present it to your parents. So you're looking at eTunes. eTunes cost how many cents per download?
98 cents.
Okay. Your other company is Bliss. But what does it cost to download from Bliss?
$4.99
per month and 49 cents for each.
So it's not just a per song download. So if I download 0 songs at Bliss, does it cost me 0 money?
No.
It costs you $4.90 money.
You still have to pay $4.90. Okay? So at the bottom it says use this data to organize a table and make a graph that you're going to use to help persuade your parents into choosing one of these companies. And it says keep in mind that your parents may set a limit on how much you can spend. So think about that. And we're going to start making our table.
That's rough, guys.
Alright, so let's check out eTunes table first. It says to make a sentence that explains what the charges are for each company. So does anybody have an example of a sentence you could make for eTunes?
98 cents per song download.
You have to make a complete sentence. So think about if you're in language arts class and you needed to write it down as a complete sentence, what could you say?
One song equals 98 cents.
Okay? Noah.
Each song from eTunes costs 98 cents.
Okay? What else?
Each song from Bliss. Wait, which one are we doing?
We're doing eTunes first.
Oh, each song from eTunes costs 98 cents.
Okay, so my sentence says each song costs 98 cents from eTunes. Please make sure you're making a sentence, so you need a capital letter and a period. Otherwise, your language arts teacher would count off if you don't have a capital letter and a period. So the next thing we're going to do is fill out the table. So if I only buy 1 song in eTunes, how much do I pay?
Times 98.
Okay, so I'm going to have 98 cents. And because I know the table is already labeled for me, and it's labeled in decimal dollars and cents, I'm not just going to put 98 with the cent sign. I'm going to put 0.98. So the process, some people were saying 1 times 98.
Or can you just put like
You can put the times sign. I'm going to use it with a parentheses because down at the bottom there's an X for the number of songs, and 2 X's beside each other may be tricky. But you can just do the last one that way. So if I want 2 songs, what would I do?
2 times 98 cents.
Okay. 2 times 98 cents. Anybody know how much 2 times 98 is?
196.
Okay.
$1.96. $1.96.
Perfect. What would I think for 3
$2.94.
songs? Process, what would your brain think?
3 times 4.98.
Okay.
2.94.
And your brain for 4, what would it think? 4 times 98 cents is how much?
$3.92.
Whoops. I wrote the wrong thing.
Need new parentheses like you, right?
Okay. If you want to do it with parentheses like me, you can, or you can actually put the times sign between them. It's up to you. Now, the last row is a little bit tricky because it says X is the number of songs and Y is my cost per month. They're leaving it that way so that you can substitute out any amount of songs to calculate its cost. So no matter if it's X or 20 or 5 or 1, what do I do every time with the number of songs to get my cost? Okay, so that's why I said I'm not going to use the X as my time sign because down there they have an X. So for this one, I'm actually going to put X parentheses 98 cents, and that's going to equal the Y. So the equation is where I combine the entire bottom row together. If I want to get the answer, which is the letter Y, I'm going to say Y equals, and then in the process column, what did we just write?
X times 98 cents.
X times 98 cents. Good job. And if you want to do another times sign, you can. Or if you want to put them together in parentheses, you could totally do that. Okay? The bottom row, you're going to put all that together to get the equation. So now what we're going to do is take the information from the table, and we're going to graph it below where it's already been started for us. So I'm going to go to the next page so you can see the graph.
Slide 3 of 6.
Okay, so we need to make a sentence for Bliss to explain what does Bliss charge its customers for downloading songs. So what do you guys remember from what we read previously?
That each month is $4.90 and each song is 49 cents.
Okay, so putting that info together, you need to write a sentence, that means capital letter and a period, for Bliss. So now what we want to do is think about the process. If I want to buy one song at Bliss, what would it do?
You'd have to
$4.90 plus 49 cents, which would equal.
Okay. So I'm still going to have one song times the charge, but I have to add the monthly fee of $4.90. So how much is $4.90 plus 49 cents?
$5.39. I think.
Does anyone else think it's $5.39?
I agree.
Mr. Bitter
Okay. So now we want to skip down to row 2. What would be the process, or what would my brain think to total up the charge of downloading 2 songs?
It would be 49 cents times 2 plus 4.90.
Wait, we have to add that.
Right?
2 times
2 times
49
$4.90.
cents plus 4.9. Yes.
Because it's not charging like 2 months.
Right.
Besides, how can we have to add 4.90?
So does anybody know how much 2 times 49 cents plus $4.90 costs?
You say that right after.
$5.88.
Someone said $5.88?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to write down $5.88. So you are going to continue filling out this table for rows 3 and 4. When you get down to the row X, what do you think it's going to look like?
X times dot 49 plus 4.90 equals Y.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. What do you think the equation would look like?
Y, yes.
X times 49
Plus
cents
4.90.
plus $4.90.
Yes, I agree with you.
Perfect.
Or we can write out the numbers.
So now what you want to do is graph the data from the table you've recorded for Bliss in the same graph below, but the directions at the top say use a different color for each company. So whatever color you graphed eTunes in, you need to pick something new. So if you did a pencil, you need to choose another pen or get a marker, or if you did eTunes in a certain color marker, now you need to choose a new one. So on this graph, they've already started labeling the prices for us, and it matches up perfectly with eTunes. Hopefully it's going to match up okay with Bliss in a second, but we'll see. So using one color, we're going to make the line for eTunes. We're going to graph the dots and see what we get. So one song in eTunes, how much did it cost?
98 cents.
All right, so I am going to put a dot. I'm going to go over 1 and up to 98 cents. If I buy 2 songs in eTunes, what was it?
$1.96.
$1.96. So I'm going to go over 2 and up to $1.96. If I buy 3 songs, what does it cost?
$2.94.
Okay, so I'm going to keep graphing these. Our table, we did 4 songs, right? How much did that cost?
$3.90.
Okay. Our table stopped right there. But we want to extend this out to go at least, they want us to extend it to at least 10 songs. So even though our table doesn't have the space to record it, what do you think is going to keep happening with these dots?
It's gonna go diagonal upwards.
It's going to keep going diagonally perfect, moving the exact same space, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. So I'm going to keep extending these dots for eTunes out to at least, they want me to go to at least 10 songs in the graph because they've labeled it for me.
Can we go more?
If you want to go a little bit more, you can. They've labeled 2 more dollar values, so if you want to go up to $11.76, you could extend it. So you personally need to go back and fill in the table for Bliss, but just make sure you know that when you buy 1 song on Bliss, in your process, you have to add $4.90 plus when you're multiplying the 49 cents times 1 song. If you're not sure how to do this, check with someone else that was in class, and we'll see you tomorrow. And then we'll come back and graph onto this one later. Okay, before we start graphing Bliss, there's one thing we forgot to think about when we were graphing eTunes. If I buy 0 songs at eTunes, how much money does it cost me?
$0.
Wow, you guys are so awesome. So, on the graph, we need to put a dot for whatever color you were graphing in eTunes at 0, 0, the origin of the graph. eTunes actually has 0, 0. So now I'm going to choose a different color, and now I'm going to start graphing Bliss. So before we even buy any songs at Bliss, what do we have to pay?
$4.90. That's already
$4.90, and that is there. So I am going to put a dot on 0 and $4.90 with a new color. Okay?
That's red pen.
Now if I buy 1 song in Bliss, what does our table say we have to pay?
49 cents.
$5.39.
$5.39. That's what you wrote in your table. So I'm going to go over to 1 and up to $5.39. Well, I don't really have $5.39 labeled, so it's going to be somewhere in between $4.90 and $5.88. So I'm just going to kind of have to guess somewhere in there. If I buy 2 songs at Bliss, how much do I pay?
$5.88.
And $5.88 is actually on my graph, so I can go over to 2 and straight up to $5.88. Okay? If I buy 3 songs at Bliss, what do I pay?
$6.37.
$6.37 again is not perfectly on my graph, so I'm just going to guess. Okay? Somewhere in between.
Basically just goes,
If you buy 4 songs at Bliss, what does it cost?
$6.86.
And $6.86 is right there on my graph, so I'm going to go over to 4, up to $6.86. I'm going to put a dot.
it looks like the pattern is like one in the middle and then one that's on there.
Did anybody else notice kind of that pattern happening?
Yes.
One right on the line, the next one in the middle. Okay, so let's continue that pattern and extend it out to at least up to where we did on eTunes. So we were just now on the line, so our next one for 5 songs should be right in the middle. 6 songs should be right at $7.84. 7 songs should be in the middle. 8 songs should be right on the line.
So it doesn't really count until you get to 10 songs.
9 songs should be right in the middle.
The 10 songs should be right on the other dot.
10 songs should be right on the dot.
And then that's all you
And then
draw a line.
the next one would be in the middle.
Do we have to do that?
They actually
Okay, so if you notice what Peyton just said, until you get to 10 songs, you pay more money with Bliss because all those dots are higher. So unless you're going to buy more than 10 songs per month, it's really a better deal to just do eTunes. If you know you're going to download more than 10 songs, Bliss is a better deal. So that could be your bargaining tool with your parents, which way you're going to do it. So before you finish up with your graph, you need to make a key somewhere that says which color is eTunes, and for me, eTunes is blue. So somewhere on my page, I'm going to say blue is eTunes, and for me, green is Bliss. So you can do your key anywhere on the page. Alright, so flip over to the back, and there is a table that's comparing the two companies, eTunes and Bliss. These are multiple choice, yes or no questions. And then at the bottom, we are going to summarize which company actually has a proportional relationship. I'll give you a heads up, only one of them is going to have proportional relationship. Okay, so probably the easiest thing to fill out first would be the equation, because we already did that earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the equation for eTunes, if you look back at your table, what was it?
Y
equals X times 98 cents.
That's what I put.
You guys are so awesome. And the equation for Bliss was?
Y equals X
Times 49 cents plus $4.09.
Very particular.
Again, I have such awesome students. You guys are perfect.
Yes, I know.
Only 8th period though. All the rest is all.
Okay, so the next thing that might be the easiest is, does the graph contain 0, 0?
Yes.
Did any of our two lines go all the way down to the corner where $0 and 0 songs were?
eTunes did.
eTunes did, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Bliss
eTunes, but no.
did not.
eTunes, I mean, no, Bliss started that.
Okay, the next thing that would be the easiest to answer is the data a linear shape? When we graphed our points, did it zigzag all over the place, or did it just go boom, straight line?
It went boom, straight line.
And did it go boom, straight line for both one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it did. Okay, they both made straight lines. They didn't curve, zigzag. They just made straight lines. Now, a constant rate of change. When I went from one song to two songs,
It always changed.
for eTunes, how much did it change? 98 cents. When I went from 2 songs to 3 songs, did it still just change 98 cents?
Yes.
Okay? So for eTunes, from one song to the next song, it kept just changing 98 cents, 98 cents, 98 cents. So that one has a constant rate of change. Now thinking, once you get to one song in Bliss,
It's just adding 40.
does it still change the same amount?
No.
49 cents.
Yes.
49 cents, 49 cents, 49 cents.
Yeah.
After you buy your first song,
Yes.
it just increases 49 cents every time. So I'm going to say that that one has a constant rate of change because it keeps going up 49 cents, 49 cents, 49 cents. Okay, so now we want to look at constant of proportionality. And it shows you right after that, if something has constant of proportionality, you should be able to just do y divided by x. And remember from your table, y is the cost per month and x is the number of songs. So for eTunes, if you look back, for the first row, the cost was 98 cents. And x, number of songs, was 1. If you really check that on your calculator, 0.98 divided by 1, you get 0.98. So if you test that with the next line in your table, y, the cost in row 2, was $1.96, X is the number of songs, that was 2. If you divided 1.96 with a calculator by 2, you should still get 0.98. If you get the same thing, 0.98, that means, yes, there is a constant of proportionality. If there's a constant of proportionality, then that means also there is a proportional relationship. So I would also circle yes on that. Now we're going to check the same thing for bliss. Again, right beside the word constant of proportionality, it says you should just be able to do y divided by x. Every single row in your table, you have to get the same answer in order to say yes. So I'm going to test that out. For the bliss table, the cost, or the y, for the first month was $5.39. And the number of songs is 1. If I divide $5.39 by 1, I get $5.39. So let's check that with the second row in the table for bliss. The y in row 2 is 5.88. And then the x in row 2 is the number of songs. That would be 2 songs. If I use my calculator and I divide 5.88 by 2, you get 2.94. I did not constantly get the same answer for bliss, so I would say no, there is not a constant of proportionality, and if there's not that, there cannot be a proportional relationship. So I would also circle no down at the bottom. Okay, so once you have this table filled out, the next thing you want to do is look down to the bottom, and where it asks you to summarize the proportional relationships, all you need to do is look at the column for eTunes, because that's the only one we said yes on for proportional relationship. Take some of the lines in the table and you would write them in sentence form. That would be kind of like a summary in language arts class. You're summarizing the eTunes table. There's only 4 lines, so you do not have to make a new sentence for every single one of the rows in the table, just 4 of them. So here's the table. You're only going to be summarizing the eTunes column, and you only need to make 4 sentences about that part of the table. I'll see you tomorrow.